Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we have the Minerva Vogue 2000 Minerva kit featuring the Mrs. DVF wrap dress. Vintage Vogue patterns, 1970s front wrap dress by Diane von Furstenberg. Sizes for this pattern start at a size 6 and go all the way up to a size 24. Let's go ahead and unwrap and get into this kit. Okay, so let's take a closer look at what came in the kit. I actually prepped this project bag before I went out of town, and so now that I'm back, I had already washed my fabric, cool water, low dry setting. So I put everything in the project bag, so once I got back, I can get started. So let's dive in a little deeper on everything that came in this kit. Now this kit really did include every single thing that you could possibly need. This is one of the Minerva exclusives, and I will link it down below, the fabric. But let's first look at what's in the kit. So let's get a closer look at this fabric. Isn't it gorgeous? Another viscose challis for us here, and I did receive a total of 5.4 meters. So the kits always include enough fabric for the version that you decide to do. Here is the pattern. Again, it's the new release, re-release I should say, Vogue Very Easy V2000. And so very excited about this, the DVF wrap dress. And so keep in mind, this fabric, you can make this pattern in a knit or a woven. So it calls for soft fabrics for flow and drapiness, but it calls for a challis, a chambray, a pongee, a surah, in single knits such as a cotton jersey and wool. And it does calls for interfacing, non-woven or non-woven, and yeah, so, and for the notions, let me just say it does call for seam binding, 4 1/2-inch buttons as well. So let's get into it. Here is the fabric. As you can see, absolutely gorgeous. And for those who don't know, might be new to my channel, I actually always serge the cut edges of my fabric just so it doesn't fray or ravel in the wash. But here is the fabric. This is a lot. It is absolutely gorgeous. The version I plan to do is view B. I want to use absolutely all of this fabric. View B with the collar from view A, and I will pop up the line drawing. I think that collar is absolutely classic, and I definitely want to do it. So I have enough fabric to do that, and yeah, let's get into what else is in the kit. Again, beautiful drapey fabric. Love, love, love. So I wanted to zoom in here so you can see this. It does come with interfacing. The kit came with the interfacing. Now this interfacing, I'm not familiar with. This line, I believe is, you know, this is based in a Europe-based line, and it's called let me see if I can read that. Yeah, Vilis, I cannot pronounce that, Visaline. But needless to say, they sent quite a bit. I know I don't need this much interfacing. So what is nice about the kits is you tend to receive more than you actually need for the project, which is nice because then you can use this for another project. For me, this is actually the same weight of, I will compare this weight of interfacing to the Joann Fabrics that you would get, the Pellon 911, the lightweight interfacing. So yeah, this is really nice. So I will compare that interfacing to that, more than enough. It's at least, ooh, it looks like it's almost 2 yards of this interfacing, and you don't need that much for the project because you're just using, it looks like, interfacing just for the collar and probably the cuffs. But I'm not going to do long sleeves because of the weather here right now. I am going to modify the sleeve to be a short sleeve, so the interfacing for me will definitely be around that collar. You have this absolutely gorgeous thread, and when I tell you, even with the most recent kit, if you saw my recent video, the color match on the thread is always on point. This is a Gutermann thread. It is color number 386. Absolutely perfect match. Perfect match. And again, you also get the needles, the machine needles, and so this is a fine 70-10. So I will compare this to the Microtex needles that you would normally use, and maybe your lighter weight fabrics like this. And so again, you get a whole pack of needles. So I have enough to last. Definitely, it's a 5-piece Sharps needles set, and so absolutely love that. And here is that seam binding, and this here is it looks like, I cannot tell how much is on here, but I am assuming that it will be for this neckline, so the neckline doesn't stretch or grow out of shape over time. And so that's what I imagine that's what that will be used for. But look at this, more, I mean, this is more than, I'm sure I'll have enough left over after the project. And then last but not least are the buttons, and this is by Hemline, and there are 8 buttons in here. Again, I am not doing the cuffs, so I will not be using the buttons for this particular project. And so, but let me just pop these out just to see how they look. There is a button on the front. Hopefully you can see that there is a button on the front, but let's get a closer look here. Yeah, absolutely love everything that has come into this kit. I am going to get started by first going over the pattern. So my full bust measurement is a 45. However, my high bust measurement is 40. So with that, if I did this in a knit, I would not go through this process that I'm about to go through. But because the dress calls for, so high bust, I'm a 40 and my full bust is 45. So based on the pattern, I should be sewing up a size 24 based on my full bust, but my high bust is 40. So that means I would start at 18, which is very consistent. If you have been watching my channel, you know that for patterns, that's what I tend to do, is go smaller at the top around my shoulders, and then I grade out to whatever the largest size and in this case it would be a size 24. However, I was considering doing a full bust adjustment. I was recently watching Chris from Unsocial. I will link to her video down below. She did a full bust adjustment on a wrap bodice, and since this is a wrap bodice, pretty similar, I thought I would see if I want to do that. So I watched that video first to see, because I haven't done a full bust adjustment in years, you guys, because I'm so used to grading between sizes. But because I'm not making this in a knit, I am making it in a woven, I figure, well, let me see if I want to do a full bust adjustment. And so I'm debating. What I am going to do first is actually do a muslin of the bodice. I am going to first trace off this pattern, the bodice front, only because this pattern can be made in a knit or woven, and I do not want to alter or mess with the original pattern piece, and I want to be able to use it for future projects. So what I am going to do is trace piece 1, which is the bodice front. And what I am going to do is grade between an 18 at the shoulder down to a 24 for the waist and hip, for the bust, I should say, waist area. And so that's what I'm going to do and see how that looks. I'm just going to do a muslin fit of it, see how that looks, and then decide from there if I want to do a full bust adjustment. So stay tuned, you will see. Coming up next will be my muslin fit of the bodice for Vogue 2000. Okay, so here is my muslin bodice fit. One thing about muslin that I want to note for the muslin that I purchase, I do purchase it from Joann Fabrics. However, I always get the lightweight, not the more heavier calico, which is more home deck. Well, not maybe as heavy as home deck, but you know, it's heavier, a little thicker. So I tend to always get the lighter weight muslin. So just so you all know the weight of muslin. But here it is. This here, this is the tracing out from 18 through the 24 all the way down to, I went out about right here, down to the 24 bust in waist. And so, and for me, this hits at my natural waistline, which I like, so I don't have to worry about lengthening it at all. So I do like, hopefully you can see, I like the way it fits. It has pleating in the back bodice. It also has darts in the shoulder front, and then of course you have your bust darts. Now for me, as you can tell, and obviously the sleeves aren't in it, and so I'm not worried about that. I've already traced off the sleeve to be a shorter sleeve, and you'll see what that looks like in the final reveal. The bust darts. Here are, if you can tell, the bust darts. Yeah, they need to be dropped down. I will measure on me how far, because I have on the bra that I will wear with this, but my apex is here, right? And then here's this bust dart way up here. So we are talking, actually, let me mark this on me. Okay, so I went and marked where my apex is, and so, and I don't have this pinned across all the way. Oh, another thing I want to mention, the center front is marked here. So technically this should go over further on me, which means I clearly can do a full bust adjustment on this. I am choosing not to. Why? Because for me, when I wear wrap items, whether it's knit, woven, or whatever, I always wear a camisole underneath. That's just my thing. I like that. And so for me, I'm fine with this. That's why I'm not going to do a full bust adjustment. You still can, and I still will link Chris's video in the description box so you can check that out. But I tried to mark, not sure if you'll be able to see, but I have to lower the, you see the dart is about right here, and I marked this in the mirror. Hopefully you can see where I marked it, but the bust dart is here, and I am going to have to drop it about right here, which is, this is not exact. Of course I'll be doing this on the pattern piece. It's about 3 3¼ inches. I'm gonna have to drop my my bust dart down, move it down so it is more in line with the apex. But that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep it like this. And another reason, I usually like when I wear crossover things for them to be this wide open on me. I know the collar is still gonna go here. The collar's a larger collar, and then you have that same binding here and whatnot. So it might, you know, close it up just a little bit, not very much. You'll see in the final reveal. But yeah, I am happy with these adjustments that I am going to make, which is lowering the bust dart. Here I will mark when it's time to sew the crossover. I will mark on there how far, I almost stuck myself with the pen, how far over. I'm going to measure this to see this look like. This is no more than about 3 inches actually. If I'm looking at this, no, 6½ inches at the bottom that this, or 3, no, that's not right. I'll have to look at this in the mirror. I think this is only like 5½ inches. Yeah, I knocked out my pens. But anyway, so I'll remeasure that about the crossover, but that is what I am going to do. All right, everybody, so stay tuned for the final reveal. I did want to add that the book that I am using to lower my bust starts is the same book I've been using for quite some time and shared on the channel. It is Fit for Real People by Palmer and Plesh, and you will be able to see the page number down at the bottom. I believe it's page 134, where it shows how to move a dust dart either up or down. So I highly suggest grabbing this book. All right, here's the reveal. She is on Lady Dane here, and I just want to show you just a few things. I absolutely love the way it looks. As you can tell, she is long. We used all of the fabric. I'm pretty sure I will shorten this. As you can tell there, I did use bias binding. My front facing piece did not go all the way down to the bottom because I did not have enough fabric. We will get into that in a moment. But I did want to share with you the inside. I use bias binding around the facing piece, as you can see here, just to give it a nice, clean, and beautiful finish. And you will notice that I did French seam this entire dress, and I will show you momentarily. I did not French seam the sleeves here, as you can tell. I did kind of lazy, but that's okay. And then I also use seam binding around the opening for the belt that the belt will go through. Only because I did French seam and I wanted that to be clean on the inside. That is my modified sleeve, and this is the back, how it looks. And yes, this fabric is absolutely gorgeous. Now it is time to get into some actual footage of me wearing the dress and a few pictures. All right, everybody, here it is. We are outside. Let me tell you, it was so windy on this particular day, but that is okay. So the dress did kind of fly open a little bit. But anyway, here is how she looks. As you can tell, the bust area, it does close up a little more, like I explained in the fitting process. I do love the way it looks. As you can tell, as I am walking, and I lifted it up because I noticed it, but the dress is maybe 3 inches too long, and I do want to go ahead and shorten it. Overall review, I highly, highly, highly recommend this pattern. Get it in your stash. I absolutely love the fabric. I would say for this kit, if you are going to make a size larger like I did, I would suggest an additional 1 to 2 yards of fabric. I could have used 1 to 1.5 yards extra of fabric because I did cut the skirt pieces out single layer, because obviously when it is laid out all the way, it is wider than the actual fabric that when it's on the fold. And so I did have to go ahead and put the fabric open flat and then lay the pattern pieces on top, but I wasn't able to do that with the back piece. And for the back piece, I just ended up not doing a single layer and cutting it out on with the fabric folded. And so that meant that the edges of the dress didn't extend all the way as they should. But again, I attribute that to needing more fabric. And also, if I had decided to do the long sleeve, there wasn't enough fabric for the long sleeve. Plus you have that long tie belt. Absolutely suggest this pattern for sure. And if you decide to get fabric that's this width, which is about 59 inches wide, I highly suggest you go ahead and get an additional 1.5 to 2 yards of fabric, just to make sure that you have everything that you need. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below.